So here's a good way to check on your booster health, your brake booster. First, there's a banjo kind of strap around here that you fold down. This just pulls off with your finger. Move it out of the way. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little Phillips screws. You take those out. Move this to the side. You're gonna move that little diaphragm to the side, which just fell down. And you should not have brake fluid in this section of the booster. So that's not a good sign. That means a portion within this tower are different seals, and they're supposed to keep the brake fluid out of the main booster. So one of those seals has given way. So that means that needs to get rebuilt. So I just pulled the servo out, and there is, when you initially lower it down underneath the 303 or 304, you'll notice that you can't get it past your different steering arms and the leaf springs. But if you jack it up, not by the axle, but by the frame, and let all the suspension sag, you will have a big enough hole to bring it all out through here. That's plenty of space to get a servo out. A little dicey. I felt kind of like I was sticking my hand into a mouse trap. I have just my floor jack on it with some timber, and if I was smart about it and being more careful, I would have put some other jack stand, but frankly my jack stands don't go up high enough to secure the situation. So I was depending on that floor jack to not move at all. And so I didn't work under there for long, but I just needed to grab the servo out through there and out this way, and it fit just fine. I didn't have to, some people have to undo their drag link, and I didn't have that case. But it's always reassuring when you bring this thing out and it weighs way too much. That means that this bucket is filled with brake fluid. In fact, take you along with me. That's what you have. That is a lot of brake fluid that should not be in there. So, good idea to take the servo out. I think that might be the problem. Let's see if a magnetized little helper doesn't. If it's in the car and you're checking on it and it's all hooked up and you just want, sometimes this plunger gets stuck, and what you do is you put a rag over the end and then step on the brake, and the brake pressure should push that this plunger out. Let's see if I can grab it with the magnet. There it is. So this is the little plunger piece, and you'll notice this part up top is a very fine little rubber plunger gasket. It's not a gasket, it's called something else, but I'm not thinking of it right now. So we have that all apart. Now we're going to lift this up, and I'm gonna drain out, let's see if I'm gonna drain out any brake fluid in there. So I'm gonna take this piece off, which was keeping it from draining. Let's see what we get. A little bit. Drip, drip, drip. Tipping it over. And here's your big floppy diaphragm. You can pull it and that comes off. Thing's all covered in brake fluid. So, see if you can see. If you see this right here, this is a little trap bar. You need to pull it out this way, and that will release this bottom plate off the plunger piece. I'll include a diagram of the servo so you can see which piece that is. This, so I used pliers, went in there and pulled this guy out. And now I am just holding this plate, which is being pushed on by a spring on the back side. And if I was to let it go, it's gonna come back. So we're gonna slowly release it and not hit ourselves in the face. And there's our big spring. And this is what it looks like inside. So pulling it away, this is the bottom of the plate. Here is a giant spring. Let's see if I have anything to indicate size to you of that spring. Here's a can of brake cleaner. So it's approximately the same diameter as the size of brake cleaner. So quite a large size spring. Next, we're going to go inside. We have 3 bolts, and those are what are keeping the tower on in the back. And it has this special washer here, which has these 3 tabs, and each of these tabs has bent up pieces, lock pieces that keep the bolts in place. So you need to reach down here and individually bend these out. Screwdriver probably is going to be the tool of choice. Yeah, that does it. So each one needs to get bent out. Well, he didn't skimp on the lock tab material. It's actually a fairly stout metal, but a flathead screwdriver, just pushing down and bending it over does the trick. Now, I would say half inch socket to remove these. Okay. We have these in here stacked. So you notice you do have an open hole here that needs to stay uncovered if you see the orientation of everything. Bolt hole, bolt hole, bolt hole, open hole for vacuum. So this comes out. Then this plate. Again, there'll be a diagram. And now we should be ready to separate the bell from the tower. Put the cloth down there. There we go. And the bottom has a gasket, which is pretty much destroyed at this point. This disassembly kind of ruined it. I don't know if you could disassemble it and not have it ruin, because it's a paper gasket, so it doesn't really take to abuse very well. And you can see it on here. That's the remnant of the gasket. So that'll have to get cleaned up well. So you have the tower off. Here's another gasket that's on this side. Piston goes up and down. Okay, so this is the inside. It didn't want to come out just by hand, and so I put cloth around the shaft, put it in the vise, and then pulled on this out, and I was able to get the tower out. And now we can look at what was going on. Where was this leaking that it was sending so much brake fluid in? This seal right here, which acts kind of like a plunger, is pretty cached. Doesn't look very good at all. Neither does this one, in fact. So I think it's just a matter of cycles to failure. Maybe it got dry at some point. There's a lot of like maybe a little bit of assembly grease in here from last time it was taken apart, or if it was a rebuild. But it's these seals that fail, and then we just have to be really smart about keeping these in order, looking at the diagram when we put it back together. That helps anyone out. This is the top, this is the bottom. And we're gonna take it out, take them apart one at a time, and I'll lay them out. Look at orientation of how it goes on, because this part goes down and creates a nice seal on the top of the bell. This piece here, that goes in like that. So one piece, this piece here is cupped up. Take that off. That's the part I think that was the worst off and causing the leak. Next, we have the castle piece with all the turrets going straight up. Looks kind of like a chess piece. Then we have a washer, and it cones upwards. Then we have a spring. Next, we have a sprocket piece. And that one, I think, can go either way, flip-flop. It doesn't look like it matters which direction. And then, I don't know. Oh, there's a spring in here. That's interesting. I'll have to look at the diagram and figure out how this comes apart. Well, I didn't look at the diagram, but we're just going to kind of wing it. This right here is a cupped rubber piece, cupped up this way, and you can grab it, get a hold of it, and just kind of roll it off the end. And so I'm not sure that this end can be disassembled, but I also don't see anything that needs to be replaced other than this. So it's functioning fine, you know, goes up and down, and that's kind of interesting. It does have a this plastic piece which can be split, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I think that's enough.